Hello everyone and welcome along to this week's Inner Anthology. My name's Katie and I work for The Reader, and this week I've brought along a book called A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle to recommend to you and share with you all. This is actually a relatively new book to me. I've only come across this in the last year. It's not one that I've known for a long time, but it's become very special to me, and I think one of the reasons that it's special to me is it's the first book that has been recommended to me by my 9-year-old daughter. We've done a lot of reading together over the years as she's been growing up, but this book she read independently and she loved it, and she was so enthusiastic about it. She came straight to me and said, Mum, you must read this book, it's brilliant. And I had never come across this when I was younger myself. But I was so intrigued by her enthusiasm and excitement that I picked up a copy and started reading, and I really enjoyed it. Even though I have to say it's very much out of my natural comfort zone and it's very different from anything else that I've ever read before. It's got quite a kind of sci-fi feel about it. Lots of elements of real life and the real world mixed in with a kind of magical, mysterious world and universe with lots of different planets. It's about a brother and sister called Charles and Meg, who together with their friend Calvin go on a journey, and they travel through a wrinkle in time, that's where the title comes from, in search of their missing father. And their father, before he went missing, was a celebrated physicist and was involved in exploring the idea of travel through space and time. So that was prior to his disappearance, which took place years before, and so they're going in search of him, and it's a dangerous journey. They have to face evil forces that they don't fully understand. It's a lot, I think, about fear and about self-doubt, and also about love and hope, and really interested in the idea of what you do when you're in the middle of a really difficult thing that you have to do or have to get through, but you don't have kind of much self-confidence in your ability to do it, where you look for hope, how you get through that and carry on. So a really interesting and challenging read that I would recommend. You don't have to be a child to read this book. As an adult, I really enjoyed, really struggled with elements of it, but really enjoyed it, and I found myself thinking about it a lot since I read it and coming back to it. So that was why I really wanted to share it with you today. It made me think so much about hope and love, and yeah, about that way that we challenge ourselves or push ourselves into things that don't feel comfortable or natural, or like something we might want to do. So yeah, really recommend it, and I'd love to share a little bit with you now, which is taken from the chapter called The Black Thing. So just to remind you of the characters, we've got Meg and Charles Wallace, who are brother and sister. It's their father that's gone missing. Then there's their friend Calvin, who's come with them on this journey in search of him. And helping them along on this journey are 3 magical, mysterious characters who are called Mrs. Who, Mrs. Witch, and Mrs. Whatsit. So here we go. Mrs. Whatsit came to rest on a small plateau of smooth, silvery rock. There ahead of them was a great white disk. "One of Uriel's moons," Mrs. Whatsit told them, her mighty voice faintly breathless. "Oh, it's beautiful," Meg cried, "it's beautiful." The silver light from the enormous moon, blending with the golden quality of the day, flowed over the children, over Mrs. Whatsit, over the mountain peak. "Now we will turn around," Mrs. Whatsit said, and at the quality of her voice, Meg was again afraid. But when they turned, she saw nothing. A Ahead of them was the thin, clear blue of sky. Below them, the rocks thrusting out of the shifting sea of white clouds. "Now we will wait," Mrs. Watsit said, "for sunset and moonset." Almost as she spoke, the light began to darken. "I want to watch the moon set," Charles Wallace said. "No, child, do not turn around, any of you. Face out towards the dark. What I have to show you will be more visible then. Look ahead, straight ahead as far as you possibly can." Meg's eyes ached from the strain of looking and seeing nothing. Then, above the clouds which encircled the mountain, she seemed to see a shadow, a faint thing of darkness. Charles Wallace said, "What's that?" "That sort of shadow out there," Calvin gestured. "What is it? I don't like it." "Watch," Mrs. Watsit commanded. It was a shadow, nothing but a shadow. It was not even as tangible as a cloud. Was it cast by something? Or was it a thing in itself? Where the shadow was, the stars were not visible. What could there be about a shadow that was so terrible that Meg knew that there never had been before or ever would be again anything that would chill her with a fear beyond the possibility of comfort? The shadow was still there, dark and dreadful. Calvin held Meg's hand strongly in his, but she felt neither strength nor reassurance in his touch. Beside her, a tremor went through Charles Wallace, but he sat very still. He shouldn't be seeing this, Meg thought. This is too much for so little a boy, no matter how different and extraordinary a little boy. Calvin turned, rejecting the dark thing that blotted out the light of the stars. "Make it go away, Mrs. Watsit," he whispered. "Make it go away, it's evil." Slowly, the great creature turned round, so that the shadow was behind them, so that they saw only the stars unobscured, the starlight on the mountain, the descending circle of the great moon slipping over the horizon. Then, without a word from Mrs. Watsit, they were travelling downwards, down, down. Silence again. Not a word. It was as though the shadow had somehow reached out and touched them so they were incapable of speech. When they got back to the flowery field, bathed now in starlight and moonlight from another smaller, yellower rising moon, a little of the tenseness went out of their bodies, and they realised the beautiful creature on which they rode had been as rigid as they. Meg slid off Mrs. Watsit's back and walked rather unsteadily after the long ride over to Mrs. Witch. "That dark thing we saw," she said. "Is that what my father is fighting?" So there's a short extract from A Wrinkle in Time, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you might enjoy picking up a copy of this book and giving it a try. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care. Bye.